Welcome to the official Lawyer Minds podcast. Lawyer Minds is an ever-growing ecosystem for all the resources modern lawyers need. As the official Lawyer Minds podcast, we'll discuss everything from the latest happenings on the website to industry news. Get ready. Here we go. It's time to dive into the minds of successful lawyers. Here are your hosts, Ted Thomas and Mike Campbell.
Mike, we're going to have a come to Jesus on this podcast.
I really hope that I'm ready because I need salvation, brother. So
when it comes to health issues, I definitely do. There's no question. I meant to. We're going to have Sara Mandell on this podcast. I wanted to reach out to her with some sort of monetary compensation prior to the podcast to come on and say that bourbon is okay. I was unable to I didn't get in touch with her, totally slipped my mind. So I'm banking on, hey, this is going to be just fine.
We'll see what I was going to ask you how that worked out. If you tried to offer her some money to buy into, I'm not sure that she would have went along with it, but I am interested to see what she says. We'll see where she puts that in the range of things that you should or shouldn't do.
Yeah, I've heard bourbon, as alcohol goes, there's something about bourbon that is just more healthy than the other alcohols. I can't explain it. I don't know what it is. Maybe that's just something we talk about around Kentucky. I don't know, but I'm hoping that that's what she's going to tell us.
I've heard the same thing about cigars, and that's largely because I've said it out loud to myself.
My dad always says, Mike, if you say something convincingly enough, people will believe it. So just say it convincing.
I'm going to keep saying it to myself. And that way, it's healthy. Cigars are healthy. Bourbon's healthy, right?
Absolutely. So, and bourbon and cigars together has to be a great meal.
I mean, it is basically like having a salad and another salad on the side, right? I mean, we're talking double healthy. And I'm sure Sarah's going to agree with all of what we're saying.
I think that's the case. So we're going to have on Sara Mandell. If you haven't picked up on it yet, she's married to a good friend of ours, Zach Mandell. She is a health coach, nutritional guru. She's got some great social media channels that she'll talk about maybe. But without further ado, Sara Mandell.
The Lawyer Minds podcast are brought to you by Gavel Video. Some companies do videography, but Gavel Video does high-quality cinematography to highlight your firm's successes. Also brought to you by Legal Insights, providing expert digital marketing for law firms. And finally brought to you by iLitigate, trial presentation software for trial lawyers by trial lawyers. And now to our program.
Sara, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, Sara, you are married to a trial lawyer, but you got into the nutrition field. And what I want to do is I want to start out by telling us how you got into nutrition and why it's important to you.
Yeah, definitely. So I have not always been in the health coaching or nutrition area. My background was in mechanical and aerospace engineering, but I spent a number of years in the corporate world, living a very fast-paced, busy lifestyle. And ultimately, I didn't feel fulfilled at the end of the day. I didn't feel like I was contributing to society in the way that I wanted to. I didn't feel like I was helping people the way I wanted to. In parallel, I also got Lyme disease / an autoimmune disease and had that for about 6 years. And I really just saw the impact that your lifestyle, your diet, your stress levels, your hydration, sleep, things like that, the role that plays in your overall health. I made significant changes to my lifestyle, my diet, and saw great results. I'm completely off of medication. It was a long journey. It didn't happen overnight, but I've come a long way with my own health. And now it's the perfect opportunity for me to share that with others. So I want to kind of use that as fuel to help others and really find my purpose.
So how did you learn about health coaching? And, I guess when you wanted to get started and you realized that this was one of your passions, where did you start?
So I had been following Chris Kresser and Mark Hyman and some of the kind of functional medicine gurus online, on Instagram and things like that for a number of years. I started reading a lot of their material. I started listening to more podcasts and things like that, and really becoming interested in functional medicine. And then from there, I learned about the Adapt Health Coach certification program, and decided to pursue that. It was the perfect opportunity for me. It was an amazing program, and I don't know, I met a lot of really great people, and it was an overall great experience for me.
So you're married to a trial lawyer, our friend Sara Mandell, and you're the daughter-in-law of a trial lawyer. And you obviously had a busy professional career yourself before you getting into this field. And so knowing what it is to live the kind of life that we live, long trial days, long office days, lots of days on the road, really what we want to do is get your tips on what we need to be doing as trial lawyers. And I'm assuming one of those tips is not walk down to the paralegal's desk where the cookie jar is and grabbing a couple of Kit Kats, right? That's bad.
I'm thinking you want to limit that.
All right.
Yeah.
So what should I be putting in my cookie jar other than Kit Kats and Snickers?
Yeah. So I think having easy access to nutrient dense options. And when I say nutrient dense, I'm meaning focusing on fruits and vegetables. So reaching for the apple or banana rather than the bag of chips, reaching for having salad with your burger rather than the French fries, filling that jar with things like jerky, things like veggies and hummus. I know that won't necessarily stay in a jar, but really surrounding yourself with options that are nutrient dense, vegetables and protein and fruits, rather than sugar, rather than processed foods. Processed foods are really, to simplify it, anything that comes in a bag or a box, but making those options that are nutrient dense available and limiting temptation like the candy is huge.
So let me show you my box. Hold on. While we're on.
This is going to be good. Tad. What Tad didn't tell you was that Tad's name is actually on the cookie jar. Oh, look at this.
So what you're saying is all these are really good. I mean, this says clean, Sarah. Can I not eat this? I mean,
and you've got so you're holding up a clean bar. If someone's listening to this, it's like we're in a deposition.
But it's got dark chocolate and sea salt. I mean, Is this not good for me?
So big things to pay attention to. The very first thing I pay attention to is sugar. So how many grams of sugar are in that?
Let's look, Tad. How many grams of sugar in the clean bar?
Let's see. Grams of sugar. Total sugar is 10.
Okay.
Is that good? Is that bad?
Is that good? Bad?
Okay. It's not good and it's not terrible. A lot of things have more sugar. So that's not terrible on the sugar scale, but I still try to stay away from anything that has more than 6 or 7 grams of sugar in a serving.
So Tad, you got to get rid of that. That's what's cracking there, buddy.
All right. Well, these Nature Valley sweet sea salt, they've got 6. So I'm okay with there.
Okay.
All right.
The next thing I look at, let's look at something else on there. The next thing I look at are industrial seed oils, which really can cause harm to our gut. The average person consumes like 36% of their diet is mostly filled with industrial seed oils and sugar. So industrial seed oils are things like canola oil, vegetable oil, sunflower oil. What's that one made with? If you look at the ingredient label,
palm kernel oil.
Okay. Palm oil's okay.
Corn syrup.
That's a bad one.
That's bad.
That's not good, Tad.
All right. Now, so is it still the thing that where if it says ingredients, whatever is at the front is like what it's most of?
Yes.
So
correct. They're listed in order in terms of what there's the most of.
So right after roasted peanuts is corn syrup. So that's bad.
Yes.
All right.
Let me do this. Let me inquire a little bit here. All right. We're talking about good and bad in terms of just nutrition, but Tad's a high performer, right? And I know your husband is as well. But when we talk about what are the things that we should be putting in front of us to eat that are going to help us perform better as not just a trial lawyer, but also just as a person, that's sort of a different analysis, right? Like the candy or not the candy, but the bars that Tad has are good, convenient, but what would be good for him if he wanted to sort of be the high performer that he wants to be. His mental health, his gut health.
Yeah, definitely. Focus on getting real food into your diet. So eat as many vegetables as you can. Vegetables are a great source of fiber. They're a great source of micronutrients. They help to pull the toxins out of your body. But reaching for vegetables anytime you can. Reaching for fruits over processed food. Fruits are another option. Reaching for and getting a lot of protein into your diet is another big thing. So starting the day with something like eggs rather than a bagel. Getting a lot of protein and healthy fats into your diet is essential for maintaining your blood sugar and just keeping your energy levels high. And if your energy is good, then you're going to feel better, right? And if your gut is happy, you're going to feel better. So focusing on eating real foods, the foods that you'd find kind of on the perimeter of the grocery store is a big one too.
All right. So Zach's getting ready for trial and he's walking out the door in the morning and you see him go to the pantry and he's packing up and he's like, I'm just going to eat lunch in the courtroom. And what do you look for to make sure that he packed so that he has a good afternoon?
Yeah. So when he's preparing for trial, we actually did this last time. We stocked his room with things like nuts, mixed nuts, with bananas, with apples. And I made some like little smoothies for him to take to go. And then in terms of ordering off menus, that's another big thing is not reaching for things like the fried food section, not looking at like the pasta and the breads and things, but ordering like a salad, for example, or ordering salad is a big thing that he has a lot for lunch. But even if there's like a vegetarian option on a menu, doing that and adding a protein source like chicken or salmon can be really helpful too.
So I'm thinking about this, and we talk a little bit about the interplay of the gut and the brain. And I just for people who are like, why are they talking about the gut and the brain, right? What effect does the gut have on the brain, and how is our performance tied to it, or, what's going on there?
Absolutely. Yeah. Your gut health drives your overall health. So your gut is extremely important. Feeding your gut nourishing foods helps to make your body feel good overall. So your gut is important for regulating your metabolism, for regulating body temperature, for your overall hormone health, for your metabolism, for 80% of your immune cells are housed in your gut. So the function of your immune system is really determined by the health of your gut. So eating foods that nourish your gut, which are whole foods, fruits, vegetables, proteins, things like that, some whole grains, those are things that are going to nourish the gut. On the opposite end of the spectrum, things like sugar and industrial seed oils are actually harmful for your gut. They can kind of tear the lining of your gut. They can produce what's called leaky gut, and they're not providing nutrient value. And there are a lot of times, like sugar, for example, is just making you crave more sugar. Have you ever eaten something that was sugary and not wanted a second bite, or not wanted another cookie after you eat a cookie? Like you always crave more, right?
Yes.
It's why the carpet to the cookie jar is well worn in my office.
Exactly. It just makes you crave more. So your gut health really determines your overall health and your energy levels, your metabolism, everything, your immune system, everything about your overall health, really. So if you focus on gut health, it will impact your overall health.
It's amazing. I was just going to say, like, for trial lawyers, it's amazing because we'll do just about anything to this strategy to win a trial, that strategy, everything that's above board. And, there's all these different theories about how you are supposed to try cases. Like, I think it was reptile and trial by human, but eating well, like, that's a good motivational factor for me as a trial lawyer, is trying to get an edge up maybe on someone else. Are you saying that if we eat well and Zach's getting some good nutrients, he's going to have the highest performance he can for trial?
Absolutely. If you eat well, you're going to reduce inflammation in your body. You're going to be feeling good. Your energy is going to be higher. You're going to be able to think more clearly. If you don't have that inflammation, you're not going to have as much brain fog. You're going to feel better. There's kind of a domino effect, really. But if you eat well, you're going to perform better too.
Tad, I think we should, I think we're onto something here. We could start this whole entire seminar around mastering trial habits, and it's just about eating broccoli.
Let's vary the vegetables other than just broccoli, but I like that as a first step.
Yeah.
So, all right. So I'm going out to dinner tonight. I've got lawyers in from out of town. I've eaten halfway healthy during the day. Are you telling me that, I mean, every meal has got to be broccoli and carrots and lettuce?
I'm not, but my recommendation would be to set boundaries for yourself. So say what I like to do is 80% of the time I focus on eating foods that are truly healthy, eating foods that are going to nourish my body, fuel my body, provide nutrients. The other 20% of the time, I am allowing myself the glass of wine, the chocolate dessert, the cookie in the cookie jar, whatever it is. So, however, have boundaries there. Don't let that 20% become your 80%.
All right. So wait a minute. I heard you say something that kind of bothered me a little bit. So we're talking about food, but then you threw wine in there. My bourbon's off limits, right? That's not in the 80 or the 20, right?
Your bourbon is in the 20.
In the 20.
It exists outside. Yeah. I mean, what about cigars? Are they?
I could have sworn I read somewhere that at least bourbon's better than wine. Is that not right?
It's all really empty calories, to be honest with you. I mean, bourbon doesn't have as many carbs or sugars, but
see, there you go. That's supposed to be in the 80.
Yeah.
It's gotta be in the 80.
This is day 2 of the seminar.
Okay. Alcohol is something to have in moderation, not necessarily every night. I'm not saying don't ever have it, but some other tips when you're going out to eat, for example, are if you're out with a bunch of people ordering a bunch of different appetizers. I'm not to say you can't have the nachos or the mozzarella stick, but choose some healthy options too to put on the table. Throw in the kale salad, throw in some spring rolls or something that has vegetables in it. Throw in the shrimp cocktail, something that's like a lighter, more nutrient dense option. And when the food comes out, eat that first so that you fill up on that before the nachos, before the mozzarella sticks. You can still have those kind of less healthy options, the chicken wings, but maybe have them last, or maybe have them once you're mostly full on some of the more nutrient dense options.
Jedi mind tricks.
I like it. Hey, all right. So I've been on the road 22 of the last 33 days. So I'm running through the airport and they're calling my plane and they're saying, "Hey, Mr. Thomas, you're closing the doors, but I got to grab something to eat. What am I looking for in an airport, given my limited options? It's halfway decent."
A lot of times salads can be a great option. Yeah. Choosing the fruits, choosing the mixed nuts, if it's not necessarily a meal, more of like a snack. Choosing like a lot of those airports have little restaurants where you can create your own bowl, like the little Mediterranean style bowls. I look for those all the time. I know where they are in many airports. So you can choose a protein, choose rice, choose a lot of vegetables, like a salsa or something on top. One of those create your own bowl kind of areas where you have some freedom to choose what you want. And another thing I would say is don't necessarily just eat because you're bored or you're trying to kill time. That's another thing that comes up, like on flights. They're going to serve you the pretzels. They're going to serve you like candy. They're going to put all those options in front of you on a tray. Don't just eat it because it's there. Try to stick to your planned eating times. I know that we kind of went off on a little tangent outside of off the question there, but
what if you're eating because you've already paid for it? And so it's not really free. You paid for your ticket. And so you want to eat because you really already paid for that snack.
The Stroop waffle, you can't get a Stroop waffle on the street. Well, you can now, but it was, airplane specific for a while.
Put it in your bag and save it for later.
Oh, strategies, Tad.
Strategy.
I like
it. Pack. That's another thing that we do. And Zach does too, is put in your bag, fill it with some mixed nuts and some options that are jerky, options that are a little more nutrient dense and aren't filled with the sugar and industrial seed oil and stuff. Like, come prepared.
So doesn't jerky have like a lot of sodium? Isn't that a bad thing?
Sodium's not a bad thing, especially, in moderation, but sodium is actually very good for you, especially if you're sweating a lot, if you're on the go a lot, and in the summer, salt is not a bad thing.
So I can confirm that they do sell salads in those quick convenient store things. As you're running through the airport, they do sell salads. They are actually pretty decent. I even had one with a hard-boiled egg in it, and I was like, this is all going to go south really quickly. And I did it anyway. I survived. I'm here. This was like 3 days ago. We'll find out tomorrow, but it was good. So they do exist.
They do have them. And some of them even have the veggies and hummus little things, or the hard-boiled eggs, like you said.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. So let's say, okay, you know what? I'm on board with this. I'm going to try to change my habits. I'm going to try to change what I eat. I'm not sure that I'm going to get my spouse bought into this, or my significant other bought into what I'm trying to do with my life. You do coaching, you do group coaching, you do personal coaching. What are some of the things that you would tell us to communicate or to address that?
Yeah. One thing is really thinking about, and maybe having your spouse think about this too, or who your significant other, whoever that is, where it is that you'd like to be like 6 months or a year from now. Where is it that you'd like to be? What would you like to be doing? What's important to you? So for example, I want to be moving my body without any pain. I want to be nourishing my body with healthy foods. And I also want to be enjoying some of the pleasures of life, things like that. And then think about what are the behaviors that are necessary in order to get to that point. And it's helpful if you really kind of relay that to your spouse and say, or your significant other, say like, hey, this is really important to me. Here's some of the reasons why. This is something that I'm doing. How would you like to be involved? Or is there anything that you want to do? You don't have to have the same goals, but you can support each other.
Well, Sarah, before we close up, and as I'm drinking water out of my AHA Yeti. It's not bourbon yet because it's only 4:30 here. So, but as we close up, you taught me social media, and you've got a great social media presence. You got a website. Where can people find you if they want to learn more?
Yeah, my website is nourishingnightingale.com, and my Instagram is the same, nourishing_nightingale on Instagram. So either of those work. And will there be like a link or something?
Yeah, we'll include links on the show notes. So, well, Sarah, thanks so much. Enjoyed having you.
Of course, it was nice to be here. What are your? I'm curious to know what you're taking away from this, Tad.
What I'm taking away from this? Mm-hmm. I'm taking away that maybe I should put something else in the cookie jar down the hall and not Kit Kats. No, it's my big thing is planning ahead. I think that's what I really need to be doing. So I'm getting ready for whether it's trial or trips or whatever, having the right stuff ready to go. So it's not last minute. Hey, I'm hungry. There's a Snickers bar.
That makes sense.
I don't know if Tad's ever had this experience where you're working on a brief or you're riding around thinking about arguments in your head. And then the next thing you know, you have a bag of potato chips and you're eating them as you're walking around. And you're like, wait a second, how did I have this bag of potato chips in my hand? I just unconsciously put it in my hand. So it's all about what do you have available, right? And those snacks, and Tad having broccoli and asparagus in his cookie jar instead of.
Absolutely. I mean, if you put a lot of temptations around you that are not great, you're going to end up eating them.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Sarah.
Well, thank you guys.
But you make a good point. So we're trial lawyers. We spend hours and hours preparing for trial, reading books, whatever we can do to get an edge in the courtroom. And the last thing I ever think of is, hey, maybe what you eat will help.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you are thinking, okay, I'm going to do all of this work and get all of this stuff prepared, and then you sink it because you're eating fried foods. I mean, how are your foods basically giving you an advantage versus a disadvantage? And, putting it really clearly that it's a clear advantage for us to eat healthy, I hope motivates a lot of people. I know it motivates me to eat healthier.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the few times that I've actually done it, it does. And the healthier you eat, the healthier you feel. I always feel like, the healthier I eat, the more I feel like I actually exercising. When I don't eat healthy, I just want to lay around. And so. I'm on the same page. I went to Williamsport this past weekend. I hadn't had ice cream for a month. I had ice cream at the baseball game. And then I had another ice cream at the baseball game because I saw people with ice cream. Like, it's baseball, I'm going to have ice cream. So it's Little League baseball at that. So
it's a Little League baseball at that. Yeah. You got to have ice cream there. One of the things, look, she's got a degree in aerospace, mechanical engineering. I mean, this isn't rocket science, right? I mean, I think she'd agree with that. Eating healthy is not rocket science, right?
Exactly. It's motivation. And, but, she's got some great ideas. So, I follow her on social media, and, she's got a great Instagram, and, all kinds of helpful tips, and, check out her website, maybe sign up for coaching. I certainly need some.
Well, let me ask you this, Dad, before we get off here. What are the things that, she asked you this question too, but you're getting ready to be on a whirlwind of travel. What are some of the things you're going to do before you go on your next trip as far as planning for food and things like that?
I think, like I said, I really got to plan ahead. So, we got a Costco membership. So I just really need to go over. They got all the big things and nuts, and, they got some healthy stuff, and I guess get I was going to call it a veggie tray, but apparently I'm not supposed to call them veggie trays anymore. What are we supposed to call them?
What are crudités? I never even heard that phrase before.
I'm from Kentucky. We don't talk about crudité in Kentucky. So
I didn't know. I didn't even know what it was.
Yeah,
so,
maybe I get a crudité and snack on it in the office over the course of the week or something.
So I've tried to become more aware of how I eat, what I'm putting in my body. And of course the pounds have started to slip off, which is nice to realize. But one of the things that I've noticed is if you go into a convenience store, you have the flaming hot Cheetos, but then my eyes are also seeing things like a nut pack with cheese and meat. And I never saw that stuff before. So
right.
Awareness is,
we really don't have an excuse.
We don't. So I know people will take your advice on stuff. So take Tad's advice and follow Sara on social, get involved with some of her group coaching, and plan the next time you go on a trip to eat healthy.
Mike, until next time, sir.
See you, brother.
That wraps another episode of the official Lawyer Minds podcast. Please consider subscribing to the show wherever you listen to podcasts. Explore the other content Lawyer Minds has to offer, and engage with us on social media. Your feedback on the show and ideas for future shows is always welcomed. See you next time.